Joining me right now is Linda Pirog. And Linda, did I say your name the right way?
You did.
Good. And she's with a organization that is looking at a new way to provide senior services. And I thought it was important, and I guess I think about this a little bit because my mom just moved in with me, and I think a lot of us that are kind of a certain age are especially dealing with this. You know, baby boomers have older parents, and baby boomers are getting older, and it's a situation that really needs to be looked at because just like everything else in the world, this is changing, that's for sure. Linda, tell us a little bit about what you're working on.
Well, we have always been a private home care provider, but recently we expanded our current services to provide both care coordination and placement services. And really what that means is, as you indicated, the baby boomers, and I've gone through this with my own parents, are aging. And sometimes we have questions because we work all the time, we live far away from our parents in some cases, or even if they're living in the home, we don't quite know what level of care they need. So we can provide a care coordinator to come in and help support the family in the early process. Sometimes they might only need a weekly check-in or a monthly face-to-face. They might need a complete geriatric care evaluation, which is a thorough assessment of the living situation, everyday activities, nutritional status, cognitive skills, depression, and more. Or they might not be safe in the home and they might need residential placement. So those are new services, although with the private home care providing, we've been already doing this for a lot of our clients.
And it's Senior Helpers Navigator, right?
That's correct.
And I guess what I think is a challenge is that, you know, I'm really loving my mom living with me. And I never really thought that it would be something that we would do. And I know she's listening now because she listens every day. But what's wonderful about it is that it is, I think we got away. I think baby boomers were really the first generation that got in their cars and went off somewhere to work. Pretty much people stayed fairly close to where they grew up prior to the baby boomers because we weren't as mobile of a society. And I think there have been pluses and minuses to us being the mobile society that we've been. But I think the minuses are is that we sort of have lost some of those connections to generations. And I hope that what's going to happen, and I think this is what you're trying to do with Senior Helpers Navigator, is to offer a lot more options to people about what they're going to do as they care for elderly parents, elderly relatives, that kind of thing.
That's correct. We'll help find community services and assist them. And I think you hit on it a little bit, and I know I just brought my parents up here, but having my parents living in Florida, as an adult child, they were pretty good at saying everything was fine, but you could see that there were some issues, and I wish I could have been able to call and have somebody go in and do an assessment and say they need this, or accompany my mother to a doctor's appointment and get some good feedback other than what she has to give me, which is not always the entire truth.
Because they don't want to worry you. It's
Correct.
not even that. They don't want to worry you.
Correct.
Or it's just one of those things where you're with yourself every day. You don't see the changes that people see in you that haven't seen you often. You know, my husband is a primary care physician, and he would get frustrated, but also joke about the fact how hospital admissions would go up around Mother's Day because family would come in from out of town and they hadn't seen Mama in a while, and she didn't look very good.
We find the same thing around the holidays.
I'm laughing because you don't want to cry, but it's one of those things where because someone hadn't seen them all the time, that they'll see things that are just little changes that are happening all the time. What's the biggest challenge that people are faced with?
Well, when you have a loved one that has been safe and secure in their environment, and then all of a sudden there's a change, whether it's a fall where they break a bone and they're no longer able to bathe themselves, that they're not able to stay in their home independently, you have a lot of challenges.
See, I was going to say mobility, which is really the same thing. It's whether mobility getting around the house, mobility being able to drive. I mean, especially in the Southeast where it's a very driving type society. I mean, if you can't drive, you're pretty much stuck in your house in most places in the Southeast.
There's not a lot of public transportation, and as people's cognitive skills begin to diminish and it's not safe to drive, and that's a very difficult conversation to have.
And even public transportation, even though they've been, ADA equipped, they're really not set up for older people. they're fast moving. Everything's fast moving, whether it's public transportation or the roads or whatever it is. And we just have to, I think the greatest lesson I've learned is just to kind of slow down. Just to do a little better. And my mother would say that I'm not slowing down because I have very type A. But for me, I'm slowing down. It's trying to do a lot better. Tell us a little bit about how people can get more information.
Well, they can go on our website at www.seniorhelpers.com. We have 4 offices here in the Metro Atlanta area, and I'm in the Peachtree City, Georgia office, which is well south, but we're also in Alpharetta, Gainesville, and Snellville, so we have one up by you. Our website, we have almost 300 offices in the United States, so they can click on, we have a great program, they can click on the map and look at all of our offices.
And that's great because I'm based out of Gainesville, we're syndicated throughout Georgia, so everybody in Georgia is hearing this as we're talking about it today. So that is important, and especially because Georgia is becoming such a mecca for retirees. You mentioned moving your parents up from Florida. Well, they call it halfbacks around here, where they moved to Florida and then they moved halfway back. So, and I was talking to the guy that was the congressman for the Panhandle of Florida, and they have a big movement of people that moved to Fort Lauderdale, Miami, but now they're moving to the northern part of Florida for the same kind of reason. It's just a little different lifestyle.
Yeah, and I see you had mentioned your mother lives with you. About half of our clients live now with an adult child, which is a really interesting change, as you indicated.
I have to tell you, though, it has been such a blessing for me and my family. And
absolutely.
It has been, it has been so much better than I could have ever imagined it to be. And I think she's really happy, too, and I think that's important, too. Hey, thanks so much for being with us today.
Well, thank you, Martha. I appreciate it.
And when we come back, we're going to talk with you, 877-333-6620. So much to come. And it's right here on the Martha Zoller Show. If it's happening in Georgia, we're talking about it right here.